Let's start with a moment we all recognize. You're home. The day's battle is over. You walk into the living room, and there it is. A silence that isn't peaceful, but heavy. A quiet judgment. It's not a raised voice. It's not a dramatic fight. It's just a look. That faint lift of an eyebrow. The brief pause before they speak. The subtle downturn of the mouth that says, without using a single word, "I expected more from you." And in that instant, your heart sinks. Your shoulders slump. You feel the involuntary urge to check your clothing, check your breath, check your memory for the offense you just committed. You weren't yelling. They aren't yelling. Everything on the surface is calm. And that's the scary part. That calm is a highly pressurized system, and you are the only one feeling the squeeze. You can be destroyed quietly, not by violence, but by the relentless weight of another person's unmanaged expectations. Today, we're not talking about simple arguments. We're talking about the slow, methodical process I call the architecture of self-betrayal. It's how we, as dedicated partners, willingly sacrifice our identity until all that's left is a shadow of the person we used to be, solely focused on maintaining someone else's delicate emotional balance. Part 1. The myth of the report card. We are culturally programmed to believe that a partner's happiness is the ultimate measure of our worth. If the woman in our life is content, we get an A+. If she is stressed, disappointed, or simply moody, we failed the exam. Her inner state becomes our personal report card, printed out and slapped on the fridge every morning. Think about that for a second. We allow the emotional weather system of another human being to dictate our sense of self-worth. I remember I once changed careers, a major, stressful pivot. Because my partner at the time said my old job wasn't stable enough for our future, I took the new job. It paid more, it was prestigious, and it nearly broke me with stress. When I finally came home and proudly told her I'd hit a major goal, you know the first thing she said? "Great, maybe now you can start coming home earlier. The kids miss you." My success, my sacrifice, was immediately translated into a new failure. This is the central trap. We chase approval from someone who has implicitly decided they are the sole judge of our character. We treat their dissatisfaction not as a sign of their own struggle, but as a flaw in our performance that must be immediately fixed. The core idea we accept is this: her unmet need is my personal responsibility. And that, my friends, is the foundational lie of emotional servitude. Part 2. The 2 pillars of quiet destruction. This quiet destruction isn't random. It uses reliable tools. We can break them down into 2 main categories: the constant devaluation and the perpetual state of shrinkage. A. The pillar of devaluation. The baseline problem. Devaluation means shifting the baseline. Everything you do, no matter how extraordinary, is immediately filed under expected. You paint the entire house on your weekend? That's not effort. That's just finally doing what you were supposed to do. You secure a huge bonus? That's not a win. That's just the money we need to pay for X, Y, and Z. Watch for the disappearance of gratitude. True appreciation requires seeing a partner as an autonomous human who chooses to give. But when you are seen as a service provider, you are simply fulfilling a job description. Does a manager thank an employee profusely for showing up at 9 a.m.? No, it's the minimum requirement. The kicker is the asymmetry of appreciation. While your 60-hour work week is just showing up, her 2 hours of laundry duty is an act of martyrdom that requires a public declaration of thanks. If you miss that declaration, you're branded as ungrateful and unaware of her sacrifices. This devaluation chips away at your ability to feel pride. You stop celebrating your own wins because you know they will only be met with a transactional response. Now that you did X, I need you to do Y. Your success is not a cause for shared joy. It is merely currency to be exchanged for a moment of temporary peace. B. The pillar of shrinkage. The the preemptive move. The second pillar is shrinkage. This happens when your world contracts to avoid the exhausting process of explanation and interrogation. It starts innocently, disguised as concern. I saw you were out with David until 10:30. What exactly did you talk about for 3 hours? Your phone was off for 45 minutes. I was worried sick. Where were you? The real purpose isn't safety. It's surveillance. It's placing a tiny, invisible camera on your free will. You start to self-edit your life to reduce friction. This is preemptive self-betrayal. You want to join a gym or take up a hobby. You think, the questions about who I'm meeting and why I need to change myself aren't worth the trouble. So you stay home. You consider meeting an old friend you haven't seen in years. You think, I'll just have to spend an hour justifying myself when I get back. So forget it. You stay home. You feel like taking a different scenic route home from work? You don't. Because a 15-minute delay means you'll be asked to account for every second. Your space shrinks. Your interests wither. Your friendships fade. Your entire existence gradually retreats into the tiny, safe zone of the couch, where you can be easily monitored and controlled. You don't realize you're shrinking. You just think you're being a peacekeeper. In reality, you are voluntarily sacrificing your identity on the altar of manufactured tranquility. Part 3. The illogical game of the moving goalposts. The most devastating feature of this architecture is the moving goalposts. This is the cruelest part because it guarantees you can never achieve final victory. You ask, what does she want? The answer, she wants something different than what you are right now. Consider the classic duality, the call for vulnerability versus the need for strength. Phase 1, the demand for vulnerability. She complains you're a closed book, emotionally distant, and you need to open up. She wants a sensitive man who shares his feelings. So, you take a deep breath. You share your biggest career anxiety. You tell her about a moment of shame from your childhood. You let your guard down. Phase 2, the disgust of weakness. Within weeks, the tone shifts. You're now too needy, too emotional. She can't be attracted to a man who cries or has doubts. Your vulnerability, once demanded, is now seen as unattractive weakness. So, you adjust. Phase 3, the return to stoicism. You tough it out. You handle your problems alone. You become the rock, the silent provider. Phase 4, the accusation of coldness. Now, you're emotionally unavailable, a stranger, a robot. You've been trapped in a loop. You literally cannot win because the metric for success changes the moment you hit it. The purpose of the game isn't to find a solution. The purpose is to keep you in a perpetual state of anxious striving. If you ever achieve stability, she loses the power to define your worth. The constant tension is her source of relational energy. Part 4. The strategic isolation. This system requires that you have no outside reference point for reality. This leads to strategic isolation. Your friends, your family, your hobbies, anyone who reminds you of who you were before the relationship become problems. Your high school buddy is a bad influence who encourages you to waste time. Your sister never liked her anyway and is trying to drive a wedge between you. Your favorite hobby, which gives you confidence, is suddenly selfish because it takes time away from the family. Slowly, your external supports are removed. Like a boat cut from its moorings, you drift, and she becomes your only map, your only compass, your only horizon. With your external reality checks gone, her voice, the voice of constant, quiet disappointment, becomes the only truth you hear. This allows her to confidently engage in historical revisionism. Every past mistake you made is catalogued, archived, and deployed as proof of your deep character flaws. That time you forgot a minor detail from 5 years ago isn't a lapse in memory. It's proof you never cared. Meanwhile, her bad behavior is always categorized as a reaction to your inadequacies. Her anger is justified stress. Your anger is abuse. Her tears are genuine pain. Your tears are manipulation. This imbalance is designed to reinforce one core idea. You are inherently flawed, and she is the noble, long-suffering victim who tolerates you. Part 5. The addiction of intermittent reinforcement. Now, if the destruction was constant, you'd leave. But this is where the system is brilliant. Intermittent reinforcement. Just when you are about to mentally check out, just when you're thinking about packing a bag, she'll have a good day. She'll be the woman you fell in love with. She'll be warm, loving, and appreciative. You'll have a perfect evening. You'll laugh, you'll connect, and you'll think, this is it. We turned a corner. It was all worth it. This flash of sunshine isn't a sign of true, sustainable change. It's the psychological equivalent of pulling the lever on a slot machine and getting a single jackpot. It's the most powerful tool for creating dependency. It keeps the hope alive, the desperate, irrational hope that if you just try this one new thing, if you just say this perfect word, you can make the good times happen permanently. You can't, because the root of her dissatisfaction is internal to her, and no amount of external pleasing from you can fill an emotional void that large. You are not her partner. You are a utility. You are her emotional punching bag. You are her scapegoat for why her life is not the fantasy she was promised. Part 6. The legacy you are building. The children. If you have children, this issue becomes existential. You are not only sacrificing yourself, you are defining the blueprint for future relationships. Think about the legacy you are building through this silent compliance. For your sons, they are learning that the role of a man is to be an emotional servant. They are learning that their primary goal is to manage a woman's moods, and that love means shrinking yourself to accept disrespect. They will grow up thinking their needs are secondary and that their confidence must be granted by someone else. For your daughters, they are learning that they are entitled to constant emotional control. They are learning that their feelings trump logic, and that they can treat a good man with casual contempt, without consequence. They learn that a man's love is unconditional servitude. By staying silent, by apologizing for your existence, by shrinking, you are teaching the next generation that this toxic, power imbalance dynamic is what a committed relationship looks like. You are normalizing the destruction. Part 7. Reclaiming the architecture of self. So, how do you escape an architecture of self-betrayal? The first step is a radical shift in perspective. You must stop accepting your partner's disappointment as a crisis you need to solve. Her unhappiness is hers. Her emotional state is not your report card. Her sigh is not an instruction manual. The solution is simple to state, but incredibly difficult to execute. Stop participating in your own destruction. Stop chasing happiness. Your only job is to manage your own character and be a good man on your own terms. Her happiness is her journey. You are no longer the guide. Stop explaining. When you are questioned about your day, your friends, or your choices, the answer must be simple, direct, and non-negotiable. I was with Jim. It was a good chat. Period. No justification. No itinerary. Say no. Start small. Refuse to do one thing you were pressured into. Say no to an unreasonable request. Do not justify. Do not apologize. Your life is not a supporting role. You deserve a partner who sees you, not as a provider of services, but as a person worthy of respect and celebration. You deserve a relationship that amplifies your life, not one that constantly subtracts from it. A true partner adds to your peace. They don't create anxiety. They cheer your success. They don't translate it into new demands. They want to see you be your strongest, most authentic self, because that is the man they fell in love with. Think about the man you were 10 years ago, before the shrinking, before the apologies, before the silent anxiety. That man is still inside you, suffocating under the weight of unmanaged external expectations. Your entire actual life is waiting on the other side of your willingness to be seen as the bad guy for prioritizing your self-respect. You have to be willing to tolerate her disappointment to reclaim your dignity. The choice is not between a good life and a bad life. The choice is between continuing a slow, quiet death or choosing your own resurrection. Your future self, the man you were meant to be, is depending on the decision you make right now. Choose your own architecture. Choose yourself. Subscribe for more valuable videos.